Well, thank you to all of you for joining us here for today's Moment of Zen Facebook live stream. We are in the process of putting out snow that we ground in-house that will be put out for our otters to have some icy enrichment. The otters will be coming out in just a moment. For safety reasons, we can't have our staff out with the otters while we're doing this. So the otters will be coming as soon as we get the snow deposited on exhibit. That is Amanda Reeves. She is our animal care specialist, and as soon as she is done and the otters are out on exhibit, she will be coming around to the visitor side of the exhibit and will answer any questions that you have about otters or enrichment or anything that passes through your mind that you would like some information about. She will be happy to answer those questions for you as soon as she is done getting that snow ready and those otters out. So stay tuned, stick with us. And again, for those of you who are just now joining us, we will have otters momentarily. We have to put the snow out first, and we can't be doing that while the otters are out. So we have to lock up the exhibit, and then the otters will come out and start having their enrichment momentarily. Stick with us. Sorry about that. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions for Amanda Reeves, who you just saw going back into our otter backup area, post them in the comments. I'll be sure to pass them on. If there are too many, it may take me a second to get to yours, but I will try and get everyone who asked a question, I'll try and get that question answered. And there are otters. Allison, Jake is working today. I just saw him. I'll tell him that you said hello as soon as I finish with this. So if any of you are curious, the snow actually is made in-house. We have a grinding machine that we use to create the snow. It takes quite a long time. Usually it's a two-person job, but today Amanda Reeves, who was our animal care specialist, was making it all herself. So this took, it was quite a process. But obviously the otters enjoy it quite a bit, and hopefully you do too. So if you have any questions about what's going on today, about the otters, about enrichment, post it in the comments, and we will be sure to try and get it answered for you as soon as we can. All right, and we are joined by a specialist. So Amanda, what is happening today?
So today's the last day of winter. I'm personally one of those few people that love winter and especially snow, so I wanted to make sure that the otters got a good snow day today. So I spent an hour crushing ice to give the otters some snow. Right now I have 4 of our male otters out. I have Hunter, Digger, Louie, and Vinny. And over here you can see Louie is going to town, just kind of enjoying that pile to himself, where the other 3 are kind of just rolling over there in that one.
So Amanda, for those of you who work with the otters every day, I mean, everyone who's watching this probably can't tell an otter apart. So how do you tell? You pointed out Louie pretty quickly. So
well, they all have different characteristics. Like Vinny right here, if you look at him, he is the smallest of these 3 boys out here, and he is also got the darkest coat of all of them, but I can also tell who he is based off his energy level. Vinny is going to be the most excited otter. It doesn't even matter if they're sleeping. Usually if I see them in their little igloos, Vinny is rolling around, just kind of having a great time when that happens. Louie, who has now moved, he's up at the top. He has the most gray in his face, so you can kind of really see him up there right now. He's got a lot of gray going on, and so that's a really easy way to tell who Louie is. Now, Digger and Hunter, these 2 are a little bit harder because they're kind of like twins. This is Hunter right here, and I know that because Hunter almost has like a little mustache. He's got a little darker strip on his upper lip, and he's just a little bit darker than Digger. But another way to tell if I'm ever hesitant is Hunter's actually missing a toenail on one foot. So that's a pretty easy way to be able to definitely know the difference between Hunter and Digger.
So who's at the window right now?
That's Vinny.
Okay. Okay, so we've got some questions coming in. So Aggie Stevenson, who we all know works at the aquarium, her daughter Sarah would like to know, are they really good swimmers?
They are excellent swimmers, but one thing that a lot of people don't know is, like with birds, they instinctually know how to fly. With an otter, they actually have to be taught how to swim. So oftentimes it's going to be the mother dragging the babies into the water, kind of giving them swimming lessons for them to pick it up. But they are really good swimmers. You can kind of maybe see a little bit on Vinny there. They do have webbed feet, so that really helps aid in their swimming abilities. And then they also have that very nice waterproof coat. You may notice there's bubbles kind of coming off of their back as they're swimming, and that's because they have such thick fur, it's actually pressing down and releasing air bubbles out of there.
Megan Grimes would like to know, how many otters do we have?
We have 6 otters, so we actually have 5 males and 1 female.
And our female's name is?
Maya.
Maya.
And then the 1 male that's not out right now is Delmar. And that was, he just chose not to. I gave the otters an option to see who wanted to come out and who didn't. And otters usually sleep about 18 hours a day. So Delmar decided it's nap time.
So no one has asked this, but would otters be found where there's snow in the wild?
Yes, so you can find otters all over North America. You can find them up into Canada, and you can find them a little bit down in Mexico. So you will find them in areas where there's snow, and you can also find them in warmer climates as well.
Layla Hutchinson, and forgive me if I butcher anybody's name, it's not intentional. But Layla would like to know, what do we feed our otters?
So the otters, for their breakfast and dinner, as I like to call them, are going to get a meat-based diet that's going to usually have some like ground up beef in it. And then in the morning, we're going to add a little bit of fruits and vegetables with that. And then throughout the day, when we're doing training sessions, they're going to get a variety of fish. Out here, when I put the snow out, I actually threw some shrimp around the exhibit. So that's one of the items that they're all kind of digging for, hoping they'll find more of in the snow.
So this is a special occurrence. This is not something we do every day, obviously. It's time consuming to make the snow, to put it out. So ultimately, what is the benefit to the otters of having days like this, of having snow days, and people probably see these colorful balls floating in the water?
We like to give our otters, or really all the animals here at the aquarium, enrichment. Enrichment is really anything you can do to mentally or physically stimulate you. It breaks up your day-to-day. So we want to make sure that the otters have something that's going to either get them to want to move around. Like today, that's kind of the purpose of the snow and the boomer balls that are in the water. I want to make sure that they're really active out here on the exhibit and getting to enjoy that. And it's something novel or kind of new because they don't get it all the time, as you mentioned, Casey. So it's really good for the otters. Sometimes it may not be an item we're putting out here, but more of a sound or a new noise that we might play. Our otters are really scent-oriented creatures, so sometimes I might put bear or wolf urine out on the exhibit just to see how they react to a new scent being out there. So it may not always be stuff you can see on the exhibit, but the otters are still always getting enriched.
All right, we got some more questions here. Jake Haynes would like to know, can we expect any baby otters?
That is something we are trying here. Our one female Maya is recommended to breed. It is ultimately up to the otters if they decide to have any young or anything. The thing about otters, though, is they do a delayed implantation. So what that means is Maya may have become pregnant, say, 300 days ago, but she may decide that the timing isn't right. So she can actually hold on to that and then later decide, okay, now's the perfect time to have young, and then it would be about 60 to 70 days after that time before we would know.
So Marcia Weinman would like to know, do they make a nest?
Kind of. So otters are going to get in something like a den. So we have a den-like area on our exhibit, but yeah, usually the female is going to start gathering either sticks, some straw, or some hay, and really just trying to put it in their den to start to prepare for the young.
All right, Megan Grimes would like to know, what is the life expectancy of river otters?
In their natural environment, they're only going to live to be about 10 or 12 years old. Due to their aquarium, because they don't have to worry about any predators, and we have on-call vet staff to help them out, they can live pretty much to be about 20. Our oldest otter right now is Delmar, and he's 15 years old.
And just for people who are joining the stream late, we've been talking about Maya. Maya is not out right now, so don't look for Maya. It's all boys today.
Yes, that's right.
And just as a reminder, who's out today?
We have Benny, Digger, Hunter, and Louie.
Great.
The three wrestling right now are Digger, Hunter, and Louie.
Shauna, we're so glad you appreciate this. Melissa, glad you're learning a lot about otter pregnancies. I'm learning stuff too. Just out of curiosity, for the more than 100 people who are watching this right now, are any of you stay-at-home parents, or are you at the moment staying at home with your kids and using this as educational? I'm just curious because my wife is at home right now with our kids, and I hope that they're learning stuff.
So what you can see a little bit of, right, well of course they stop right when I go to talk about it, but the otters were doing some mutual grooming. That is something really common that you would see. And you're also usually in their natural environment, you're only going to have a group of otters is typically just going to be a male group. So they're going to be in bachelor groups, and then the female will go and seek a male when it comes time. Otherwise, the female's typically going to be by herself.
And we just got a question, are otters territorial?
They can be for a sense. An otter's usually going to stay in one range for the most part, but yeah, if another otter were to come into their area, or especially if they're going to have young somewhere in a den, they will be extremely territorial of that area.
All right, it seems like we have a lot of people who are watching from home with kids, homeschool and otherwise, and we're very happy that you are making use of us as a resource to teach your kids. You know, it's a difficult time, but we're very happy to help you stay connected, have some normalcy, and just relax a bit. These guys are an awful lot of fun to watch. And again, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments where I'm passing all of them on. Amanda is happy to answer them. So we've talked about what otters are fed here at the aquarium, but what would otters eat when they were out in the wild?
So for the most part, they're going to go after a lot of crustaceans and fish as well. That's going to be one of their main diets. I know in Louisiana, there's actually a huge problem with otters getting into the fishermen's crayfish traps because that is one of their favorite things to do. So the otters are definitely considered a nuisance down there because that's one of their favorite foods to try to get a hold of. But again, it's going to kind of depend on the region that they live on and what exactly they're going to be going after for food. But it's mostly going to be fish or some kind of crustacean that they can get a hold of.
So Chris De La Cruz asked, are we doing these videos every day? We are trying to. We obviously have pretty limited staff, just like a lot of places. A lot of our staff is working from home. People like Amanda, obviously, all the animals are being cared for. They're still in-house doing their jobs. But those of us who are doing these videos, you know, we're working as best we can. So we're trying to do them every day. And if you are getting benefit from them, we will obviously try to continue to do that. Stephanie Erickson asked and adds, just kidding, can we have otters at home?
I highly recommend against it. And one of the main reasons would be not only because of aggression, but the smell that they put off and their digestive puts off. So it is definitely not a smell that I would want in my home or outside for the most part. But otters can be extremely aggressive. I mean, you guys have seen kind of how they're wrestle playing in here and just kind of biting one another. But they have really thick fur. As humans, we don't have that thick fur, so we're definitely going to feel those teeth a lot quicker if they decide to be aggressive.
So how long will the snow stick around? It took about an hour to make. How long will it stick around?
I'm hoping the snow will at least last an hour, but because we do have a little bit warmer temperatures today, I don't exactly know how long, and it also depends how much they're playing in it or they're getting in the water and then immediately jumping out onto that snow. It's definitely going to start to melt a lot faster. But I do plan on, while there is still some snow out, giving Delmar and Maya an opportunity to see if they do want to come out and enjoy the snow as well. So if any of you are watching on the webcam at any point during the day, you may get to see them out here on exhibit enjoying the snow as well.
So Shauna Lee is asking, are sea otters as aggressive as river otters? I don't know what your familiarity is with sea otters.
I know a little bit about them, but basically otters as a whole can have the same levels of aggressiveness, especially if they are protecting a territory. I mean, I definitely would not recommend approaching any type of otter in the wild if I were you. Sea otters do have a stronger bite force, so even though they may seem really cute and cuddly, I still wouldn't want to take that chance.
Elise Hoffman would like to know, is Benny named after Benedict Cumberbatch?
He is, because when he was younger and still a little bit everybody thought he kind of resembled him a little bit. So that is where Benny got his name.
Leanne Jennings would like to know, what are some things we can do to help protect river otters out in their natural habitat?
So one thing, sorry, Digger looks really relaxed right now if people want to look at that. But one thing you can do is definitely think about your water runoff. When you're getting rid of your oil or anything like that, try to be really cautious of where it's going because these guys do really rely heavily on that fresh water as their main source of living. Habitat disruption is also another big thing for them. And also, don't buy fur coats or animal fur because that is one thing that otters are sometimes hunted for, is actually for their otter pelts. So that's definitely something that caused a drastic decline for these guys back in the 1950s and 60s.
And we should probably talk a little bit about the fact that otters, river otters, are kind of a conservation success story.
That's right. So these guys were actually completely extinct from this area in the 1950s. You would not be able to see river otters anywhere, but thankfully the Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency and people that are on this live stream really want to know how to help out these otters. all came together. We actually brought some otters in from Louisiana, kind of reintroduced them to the area after the pollution and everything was cleaned up out of here. And actually within just 10 years, they were removed from the endangered species list. And so they are a true conservation success story here. But even though river otters are a conservation success story here in Tennessee, there are actually 8 states, and do not ask me to name those 8 states because I do not have them memorized. But there are 8 states that they are still endangered in. And so river otters in certain areas do still need our help out there.
Well, and as some of our conservation scientists at our Conservation Institute like to say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
So it's always better to work on the front end and be proactive to keep a habitat safe and healthy for animals than to try and restore a habitat that has been degraded. So it's always better to be proactive. Felicia Jones would like to know, how old are each of the otters?
So we know Benny just turned 7 in February. Maya is actually Benny's sister, so that is one reason why Maya can't be out right now, because it's otter breeding season. So we do have to keep Benny and Maya separate during this time. So both of them are 7. As I mentioned, Delmar is 15. Now with Hunter, Digger, and Louie, we don't know their exact ages, but we do estimate that group to be anywhere from about 8 to 12 years of age.
Chris Sibley, or Sibley, again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering names, but would like to know, where could I donate money to otter awareness, or I guess, to people who are working with otters?
So there is actually an otter conservation group. You could probably do a Google search and be able to find them, and they're doing a lot of work to help out all the different species of otters. One species of otter that is really in decline is a giant otter, which you can find in South America. And if you've never seen one, I do recommend looking one of them up. They're a huge otter. They're about 6 feet in length, and so they're one that definitely needs our help right now, more so than others.
All right, so we've got several questions here. Give me just a second. Brian Jones would like to know, do the otters miss having people around visiting?
I would say yes, because the otters see through the glass. They will sit out here and watch. Hunter is one that I really like to laugh at when there's guests here, especially like when there's the school groups coming through and they're all wearing those same colored shirts. I feel like Hunter is out here just like staring at all of them, seeing what they're doing, why there's this big group coming through and all these colors. So yeah, the animals around here are definitely missing out on seeing people coming through every day.
So when we do reopen and you come, really visiting the otters is kind of an enrichment for them?
Yes, yeah, I definitely consider people being out here a big part of enrichment for the otters.
So Carrie Castle would like to know, since otters can be aggressive and territorial, do these otters all get along? Or are there one or two who are kind of like outcasts?
So one reason I think Delmar didn't want to come out with this group is because, like I said, it is breeding season right now, so you will see a lot more aggression even amongst the groups. Like these 3 right now are just kind of playing a little bit, but we do see an increase, and so different times of year we have to kind of watch the groups that we put out to make sure that they aren't fighting too much. So yeah, there is I wouldn't say that there's an outcast, but it does kind of depend on the season on who can be with who. And I think Delmar, being our older, he's just kind of, I don't know, maybe wiser, or he's just like, I don't want to go out with all the kids right now because they have a ton of energy.
Leanne Jennings would also like to know, do you follow an SSP, so Species Survival Plan, for those who don't know that acronym, for otters to improve numbers in areas where they're still endangered?
Yeah, so the otters are part of the Species Survival Plan, and we are lucky enough here that Hunter, Digger, Louie, and Delmar are all recommended breeders with Maya. So as I mentioned before, she does have that chance because we do want to have a large genetic diversity of river otters out there, and so they are a part of the SSP.
Luna McDavid would like to know, what are their favorite toys or enrichment items that they get to interact with?
So it's definitely otter specific on what they like. One thing that Benny and Maya really seem to get really excited about is if we have something outside of the glass. Sometimes I'll come out here with a remote control car and I'll just be running it in front of the glass, or I might bring out our barred owl or something as enrichment, and that really gets them like really enriched by it. Delmar, for example, loves cardboard boxes. He really likes to get in the boxes and just kind of play with them. These guys love some of our Hunter, Digger, and Louie is what I mean when I say these guys. They love our hammocks. So we have some hammocks made out of fire hose, and these guys just like to get in it and just swing for hours. And I've even noticed they'll take their towels or their blankets out of the igloos that they usually sleep in, and if I have a hammock up, they'll pile as many of those towels up on those hammocks to just be able to sleep and stay swinging in it.
Felicia Jones would like to know, when they're fighting, are they fighting to be the top dog, or are they just playing?
For the most part, they're just playing. That is something that's really common with otters. They like to wrestle and just roll around a lot. You will see sometimes that it is going to be a little more aggressive, and it is usually to be like, hey, this is my area right now. And like I said, especially during breeding season, we do see that increase, and so that is one of the otters will definitely be fighting to be more dominant.
So Rollin Jernigan would like to know, what does the temperature have to be for the otters? So I'm guessing he means what is the temperature in here, and that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, so here our temperatures are, there's only a 10-degree difference between the temperatures inside and outside. So even in the winter, when it's getting down to be in the 20s or 30s, the otters are getting those temperatures as well. In the summer, if we hit a 100-degree day, the otters are going to feel about 90 degrees here. So just because otters can be found on such a large spectrum across the state, they can handle a lot of those temperatures because their fur can kind of work the same way as it does to keep them warm, to also kind of cool them off. And our water here is almost always around 50 degrees, 50, 55. So it's going to keep them pretty cool in the summer. And then our den area that we have right there is actually heated in the winter and cooled in the summertime. So that way the otters have a little place to go if they want to warm up or cool off. But they can handle a wide range of temperatures.
So Chris Sibley does not have a question, but wanted to say thank you all for everything you do for them. So that's a compliment to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I love working with these guys every day, and I love to be able to share my passion with you all at home.
And Amanda, how long have you been working with otters?
So I've been working with otters for about 5.5 years now. So I've definitely got to know these guys pretty well, and it's been kind of neat watching Benny, for example. When I started, he was only 2 years old, and kind of see him grow up and become an adult otter.
And you mentioned our barred owl earlier, so you also work with other animals as well. Are otters more difficult to work with, or what special challenges do they present that maybe you don't get from working with something like an owl?
So the intelligence level, like sometimes if I'm trying to train a behavior, for example, for them to open their mouth so I can get a good look inside, these guys might be actually picking up on a different clue of where they had their foot at a certain spot instead. And so it's like they're really quick learners, so I have to kind of stay a step ahead of them on what I'm trying to teach them. So that can make it a little bit challenging with them. And then it is also, if I want to try to do group training, it does all depend on how the otters are acting each day. So that also presents another challenge, where the barred owl is by himself and he doesn't have as complex of a mentality as the otters do. So it definitely makes it a little bit easier with him.
Now you also work with our penguins.
Yes.
And someone just asked, Carrie Castle asked, when the aquarium reopens, what are some volunteer opportunities that are available? And obviously they're wide-ranging.
Yeah, so we have a huge group of volunteers. It can be anywhere from diving in our tanks if you're dive certified. You can be one of our food prep people where you're cutting up the fish, anything for our animals. Or it could be coming in and being able to help out scrub the penguin exhibit in the morning before we open up. Or if you don't want to be anywhere near the animal actual enclosures or the food that they eat. We also do have a great group that could stand in the otter gallery and just educate guests as they come through. So that is another volunteer. Even all the beautiful plants we have in here, that is largely due to our horticulture volunteers. So we do rely heavily on our volunteers. So we would definitely welcome anyone that is welcome to volunteer.
We have hundreds, actually. I think the last count that I got was more than 500 volunteers. The aquarium really would not function and be the place that it is without the help of volunteers. So do look on our website. We have an application for people who would like to volunteer. Those are on their own dedicated page. If you go to tnaqua.org, you can look for them there. And Amanda also mentioned our live cam. We have 3 live cams at the aquarium, and especially at this time, if what you really need is to check in on the animals, relax, even if it's not something like what we're doing right now with someone who's available to answer your questions in the moment. If you just want to see what they're doing, we do have live cams in our River Otter Falls, which is where we're at right now. We have one in Secret Reef, which is the largest tank at the aquarium over in our Ocean Journey building. And we also have one, where am I? Oh, in Penguins, in our Penguins Rock Gallery. So you can check in on any of those animals at any time of day and kind of see different behaviors. We also have some activities that we're making available for some stay-at-home educators, whether those are parents or actual people who homeschool all the time. If you'd like to be more engaged while you check in on the live cams, we have some activities that make that a more enriching experience than it might otherwise be. So we have some more questions. Shala Erlich, I am really sorry if I mispronounced that, says her boys want to know, what is the hardest thing to teach an otter?
Oh, that's
Shayla? Maybe Shayla, I'm sorry.
That is a really good question. One of the hardest things that I have been struggling on that I kind of mentioned was teaching them to open their mouths for me. So they'll open their mouth really easily, but getting them to have that duration. So to keep their mouth open for more than, say, 20 seconds. They might open it and then just close it right away, where to truly do a full dental exam in there, we would at least want them to hold that mouth open for a few minutes. So otters are really hard to get to sit still. Any of you that have toddlers at home, especially if you're having to work from home right now, realize how difficult that is. So just imagine trying to deal with them but in otter form, because it is definitely, patience is one of my strongest suits in my job, because I just have to learn to be really patient and see what'll happen.
Right. Jay Keynes would also like to know, where does the barred owl stay? Is he where we can see him when we come to visit? No,
you can't see him, but you may be able to hear him. So he does live in a back area of our Delta country, so that is where you'll find our alligators. And then when I have some spare time during the day, I like to bring him out just for like a random pop-up program. You might see him. So it's really kind of dependent on when you'll get to see him, but you can usually hear him because he is a talker whenever you're going through our Delta country.
Chelsea Webb would like to know, and we've already answered this, but this is a kind of a long stream, so you may be joining late. Her son, I assume it's a son, Rian 8 wants to know how many otters we have.
We have 6 otters here, so we have 5 boys and 1 girl.
And I cannot stress enough how much I apologize for mispronouncing names. Forgive me, please. I am more than happy to continue showing you animals, otters interacting with this snow that we've made here in-house. But if you don't have any more questions for Amanda, I can certainly let Amanda leave. And if you do have questions, post them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll let Amanda get back to doing all of her many, many duties here at the aquarium. All right, Amanda, it looks like that might be all the questions we have for today, but thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about enrichment and everything about otters, and for taking the time to work during this very difficult set of circumstances to make sure the otters are well taken care of. I think everyone appreciates it. You answered a ton of questions. And yeah, again, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you can stay calm and get to enjoy watching the animals during this unique time for everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, we'll show, well, I'll keep the otter footage coming for about another minute, and then I'll end this stream unless you guys have any questions that you think I can answer, which may or may not be the case.